Hello class, and welcome to Heirs of the Sun 101. My name is Ross, or MRB, and I will be your professor this semester. So break out those golden legal pads because I'm going to show you what it means to be a perfect summon. Now, if you are interested in a level walkthrough or an introduction to ganking, I'm afraid you're in the wrong place. This class will cover strategies to beat bosses, so naturally, spoiler alert. Also, this video is being posted roughly a month into this game's lifespan, so things are bound to get patched and changed in the future. In the game's current state, sorceries, miracles, pyromancies, and hexes seem incredibly overpowered in PvE. Less so in PvP because they are easily dodged by people who have brains, but against bosses, magic is brutally strong. And since most players have realized this, you see a lot of mages. Because you see a lot of mages, I will be showing a very tank-like, almost completely melee strategy guide, because tanks are a mage's best friend. I'm also going to experiment with the red eye ring to see if it's actually a viable ring for boss fights. I've heard conflicting reports, and it seems to be something that this would be a good opportunity to look into. Now, the reason I'm making these videos is simple. There are no requirements to be a Sunbro, other than finding the Sunlight Altar and joining the Covenant. At least in Dark Souls 1, you had to meet a faith requirement, or beat a few bosses and co-op to join. And because of this, I have seen a horrendous amount of terrible Sunbros. So hopefully, after watching a few of these videos, we can restore some credibility to those golden signs, which are supposed to be the professional summons, remember? And lastly, before we get started, you'll notice I don't play a typical heavy armor, great shield, great sword tank. No, I'm quality buff build, more or less. I'm a dex player at heart, so my tanking strategies don't revolve around absorbing a lot of hits, but rather dodging them. Some players like to invade, some people like to duel. I Sunbro. For those who are curious, I am on New Game Plus. I'm SL 135, and here are my stats. The really big things that I do like 40 strength, 20 dex for a quality build. I'm using the Sun Sword, which scales with an A in strength and an A in dex. And there are my stats and armor and weapons and such. When I use the red eye ring, I replace the ring of blades in this build. So, without too much further ado, here is the last giant, the first boss that most people typically fight. Alright, I'm going to show off a couple different fights with the last giant. This first one is pretty much strictly a red eye test, and you'll see what I mean here in a second, as our host has grabbed a couple Sunbros here to help with this fight. What I mean by red eye test, I am going to walk through the boss fog and not attack the last giant hardly at all. And the reason for doing this is I'm seeing if I can aggro him just because I have the ring on. So come through the fog, and the last giant is already attacking. And I'm just going to stand here. You know, I'm kind of protecting myself. All I'm looking to see here is if the last giant will aggro on me even though I haven't attacked him, which does not seem to be the case. So I start putting some hits on, and he just doesn't give a shit that I have that red eye ring on. He doesn't care. Now, the only thing that's particularly difficult about this or particularly interesting, maybe I should say, about this last giant fight is when he reaches a half or a third HP, he rips off one of his arms to give him some increased range and damage. All in all, I would say that you don't really have to summon anybody for this fight. It's not a particularly challenging fight. Just kind of stay behind him and hit his legs. There is an interesting summon, a specific summon for this fight. It is Mild-Mannered Pate, and this guy right here has grabbed him. Now, as a Sunbro, you need to be aware that Mild-Mannered Pate gives a reward if you beat this fight with him still alive. So as a Sunbro, your job switches a little bit here. it becomes kill the boss before the boss kills the NPC summon in Pate. So you'll see me be much more aggressive out of the box. Also, keep in mind, and you notice it more in this fight than in the other two, as you walk through the fog, it's not uncommon for Last Giant to be attacking right where the fog is. So when you come through the fog, get ready to dodge, just so that you are aware, because a lot of times you can get hit the moment you walk through the fog, because they're attacking the host, and you're just right there. It's unfortunate. But as a Sunbro, you should know, keeping Mild-Mannered Pate alive, he gives you his shield and weapon and armor and I believe a Ring of Thorns the next time you see him, which is in the Earthen Peak level, if you can keep him alive through this fight. So if someone summons Pate, your job becomes not so much tank the boss, but murder him before the NPC summon dies. Now, this last fight I threw in here, kind of a little bit for giggles. This guy right here is very clearly a faith user, and you'll see how strong magic really is against some of these bosses. This dude destroys the Last Giant. His health is gone so fast. I think he dies just shortly after he pulls his arm off, when he gets to like half health. I don't deal hardly any damage in this fight. I walk through, again, you can kind of see that he just attacked, and this guy he's throwing lightning spears, and he's absolutely just chunking down this Last Giant. He just, it's murder. You see he's already at about a third HP. There goes the arm. I take this opportunity to get a few big, strong, two-handed hits in, and he's dead. It's insane. Some of the magic in this game is just insane. It decimates bosses. This is New Game Plus, at least. So, kudos to him. Thank you all for watching as long as you have. The next video will be on the Pursuer.